Hey everyone, I'm here with my good friend Janelle, and we're going to be talking a little bit about yoga for your mind, body and soul. And the reason we got onto this conversation was because recently I've been doing this whole life challenge, which some of you may have seen. It's 8 weeks of a complete kind of overlook on your life, not just nutrition, but exercise and also mobility and stretching and various things you can do for your mind, like yoga and meditation, and also just things like gratitude. Some of you may have seen this thing about gratitude I've been posting recently. So we were in the car a few weeks ago reflecting on components of this challenge that aren't just purely physical or nutrition based, and we talked about yoga. And Janelle has just completed, what is it, 12-week training?
12 days.
12 days, so 12 days.
12 days intensive training, yeah.
Yeah, so, and we've really got into it. And I've been doing yoga on and off for about 2.5 years now. When I first came to LA, I went to this yoga class and I just thought, where have you been all my life? This is incredible. You just use these muscles and bones, and mainly your muscles. You just have no idea that they're in your body. And you have all this kind of awakening and realization of just how great it is for your body. But it's not just your body, it's your mind as well, and it's phenomenal. So I've been doing it on and off for 2.5 years. I noticed a huge benefit to it, particularly when you do it at the beginning of your day. It's fantastic. So over to you quickly. What's your story, and why did you get into yoga in the first place?
So like many other yogis, I took an injury for me to get involved in yoga. I used to be a competitive CrossFit athlete and also a triathlete. I worked out a lot and I stopped listening to my body and focused more on getting results, becoming stronger, becoming faster. And so then I ended up having 2 herniated discs in my lower back, and I went and got an MRI, and my doctor was like, you have to stop working out this hard, and the only thing that you can do now, or you should do, is yoga, otherwise you're going to have to get surgery on your back. So I was like, well, I definitely don't want surgery. So I was really depressed at the time, actually, because I always thought yoga was kind of something that you did on the side to stretch that would help performance in your other sports get better. I thought I was going to get overweight. I thought, all these things that were absolutely not true. So I started doing it, and I started taking a teacher training, and I noticed right away that my mind and my energy started to change. The activities that I used to do, like CrossFit and triathlons, although awesome and I loved how I felt after them, it started to make me a much more aggressive person.
Wow.
So I felt like that right away. I was like, okay, there's something to this. And so then I started getting into it for a few years, and started taking more and more teacher trainings. And I also learned that the more I started learning, the less I knew. I realized I knew. It's kind of like my experience. I've been doing it regularly now for 3 years. And one of the biggest things that we were talking about in the car, I noticed, was my attention span. I struggle a lot with attention. I
can relate to that.
I've grown up with the thing called ADD that Americans are popular to say that they have when they can't pay attention. So I grew up taking every type of medication that exists.
You said since the age of like 6 or 7.
Yeah, since like first grade.
Crazy.
And like I was telling him earlier, it definitely changed my personality. My mom would say that she thought I broke up with my best friend every day because I was just quiet and seemed more depressed. So I've always struggled trying to figure out an alternative to that, and I've talked to every therapist and doctor out there. And it wasn't until I found yoga that I realized, this is really something that is helping me gain that attention that I don't have. And it's not an overnight thing. I'm still by no means cured. But I realized day by day, it is definitely, I notice a huge difference. If I do it in the morning, how I can pay attention a lot better.
Yeah.
I didn't do it today, so I'm going there after this.
You can't go into a yoga class and come out stressed.
Right.
I think that's impossible. You go in there, you calm your mind, and it's just combining movement with breath. It's combining movement with breath, isn't it? It's like conscious moving with conscious breathing. And it's meditative in itself. And yeah, it helps to calm the mind right down, and it's just incredible for your focus and concentration, and obviously your whole body as well. It gets the whole lymph system working. The lymphatic system part of your body, which is responsible for getting rid of all the dead cells, the cancer cells, and it's like your waste disposal unit of the immune system, which only works when your body is moving, or works most effectively when your body is moving. It requires for your temperature to actually raise a bit to actually work effectively. And yoga is a fantastic way of draining your lymph, your waste out of your body. So something that really grabbed my attention that you said in the car, and I wanted to touch on it, is how the evolution aspect. And I really wanted to just ask that again. It's just phenomenal how your own physicality and how you treat your body can actually impact your offspring. Mm-hmm. So obviously before you have children, and something I've just found very, very interesting.
Well, I'm by no means an expert on this, but and I'm definitely not sure I can explain it the way I would like to. But
explain it to me exactly as you said it in the car.
I know, I wish I recorded it
because that was brilliant. I was like, whoa, that's insane.
I would say that your body adapts to what you ask of it, be it like the fascia in your body growing to the like things that you need it. Say if you're like sitting at a computer all day, your fascia will grow to hold your head up, and you'll start to become hunchback. If you're a pitcher in baseball, like the fascia will grow across your body to strengthen your right arm to throw at a stronger rate. So your body physically adapts to whatever you're asking of it. And that same way, your mind adapts to whatever you're asking to it as well. So that's why athletes tend to have offspring who have similar attributes, because your body's basically thinking of it as, my body needs this, it must be necessary for survival, so my offspring tends to have that as well. At least that's the way I've understood it.
Not your offspring.
So in the same way with your mind and other aspects like that. Does that
Amazing.
Does that
it does make sense, yeah. Hugely.
So basically what you ask of it is what you recreate.
Yeah. There's and it reminds me as well of this exhibition, Bodyworks exhibition that a friend of mine went to recently. I went to this in Berlin last summer, and it was just phenomenal. It's basically where they present to you lots of dead people, and it's all been obviously maintained and preserved in a beautiful way. But they compare the physicalities of different people. And one thing that really grabbed my attention was a slice through an obese person, and you can actually see all this visceral fat surrounding the organs, and that's what kind of suffocates your organs. It's the stuff that we don't really think about, and even skinny people can have this visceral fat. That really jumped out at me, and also having various organs throughout the body. But something my friend said about yoga is there was the one over here compared two humans, one who'd done yoga all his or her life and the other one hadn't, and all the muscle formation was completely different between both people. So the person who'd done yoga their entire life, the muscle just looked super healthy, really in great shape, nice and taut and decent colour, and the person who hadn't done yoga, it's just like crumbled away. The muscle had crumbled away. And something I'll never forget, and I've put this in my book actually, is that with muscle there is nothing, it either strengthens or it weakens. There's nothing in between. There's literally nothing in between. So whatever, it's just like a rule of the universe, whatever doesn't grow dies, and with our muscles it's the same. Mm-hmm. So we all, if we do some kind of sport that we've not done for ages, we'll experience muscle pain and aching or whatever, and it's because we haven't used that muscle and we're working it again. Yoga is a way to consistently use pretty much every single muscle group in your body in a really cool way that's fun, and you're in classes, and I just realised I've talked forever.
No. It's interesting because it made me think of another aspect. I never knew or noticed how in tune I was with my body until I started doing yoga on a regular basis, and specifically the types of instructors that I'm lucky to take from out here really get you into your mind. Like I never noticed that my left side was tighter than my right side in some areas, because I was so in tune to just tuning out the sounds in my body to compete as an athlete. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me, is just listening to my body and then like learning how like different muscles that I might not have ever knew existed to turn on. Like you were saying, like noticing the different atrophies and different body types.
Yeah.
Anyways, that just was one.
It's really cool.
My mind went.
It gets you totally more in tune with the body. So let's go back to concentration things. I think this is a huge thing.
Hence me talking about something else. Concentration. I was like, yeah, I just started talking about something else. Like going back to concentration.
Well, I just thought I'd bring it back because it's relevant to everyone, isn't it? We talked about, just before we started recording, we just talked about the benefits of yoga, and Janelle talked about all the medications she was on from a very, very young age, going, until the present day. Medications are, let's not go into that, but for the most part, a waste of time. And if you simply just take out the sugar and the high glycemic carbohydrates, this is one way you can start concentrating so much better and more effectively. And if you combine that with yoga and meditation, it's just phenomenal how impactful that can be, because you're basically giving yourself a ton of fat. You're giving your brain cells are made of 70% fat, the rest of your cells throughout your body are 50% fat. And we've been told for the last 30, 40 years to go on a low-fat diet. If you go on a high-fat diet, you're giving your brain everything it needs to fuel on. And if you combine that with yoga, when you calm the mind, get focused, you can basically do away with medication. And you've had a lot of change, haven't you, with your ability to focus now by...
I mean, it's definitely not just something that's changed overnight, like I was saying, but I have had, like I was saying earlier, a definite positive effect. And I would say most of that is just bringing attention to my breath, which yoga basically, that's the biggest thing for me, is just bringing attention to my breath. And that's basically what meditation is as well. And so, yeah, I think like if you have a regular practice, it's not something if you just do it once a week, you're going to notice a difference. It's just like everything is something that you have to work for. It's not, that's why people in our society like to take medications for these things.
It's a quick fix, instant gratification. We're all guilty of it. So, what I was going to say, how about stress and anxiety? How good is yoga for stress and anxiety?
Yeah, it's definitely, something as a human that we all struggle with on some level, and I still struggle with it, but I've definitely, since I've been doing it for the last 3 years regularly, I definitely have had my moments where I'll go a month without doing it, and I notice that my stress and anxiety go up, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why am I so stressed out this week? Like, why am I so depressed? Feeling like, oh, I haven't been doing yoga on my mat.
Yeah. It's just, I find it really, you've inspired me to go and start doing it more regularly, because I've kind of dip in and out of it. But what would be your kind of number one advice for, what's your number one piece of advice for someone who's not doing yoga or hasn't tried yoga?
Try it.
Try it, just see how you feel. Yeah. Do it.
I mean, it's challenging. We're really lucky out in Santa Monica because there are amazing instructors out here.
It's ridiculous.
There is a great app called Viola Glow that has really good instructors, and it's $15 a month that you can do from your home if you don't have.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go to the gym, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't want to go to a yoga place, or if that's too much admin or too much of a barrier for you to do it at home.
Right.
Watch it on your computer, and you can. Back to you.
I don't know. I was just saying.
Taking over the conversation.
No, that's perfect. So the cool thing about Viola Glow is also they have like 5 or 10 minute like video segments where if you don't have enough time, you can just do 10 minutes, because I think that's a barrier for some people. It's like, oh, I have to have an hour, and then I have to get there, and then blah 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 blah. So you can just do like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. They have meditation and things like that. Now I sound like a commercial for Yoga Glow.
Yeah.
I think just finding a friend to go do it. Like pretty much everything else is getting it into your routine. And if you really just starting in your day to like take a couple minutes to just breathe in deep in and out, like I find if I do that before anything that I'm kind of nervous or anxious about, it immediately calms me down.
Yeah.
So
that's really good advice. I've got a suggestion for people who haven't done it, or even who have. Do it for 1 week, every single day for 1 week, for 5 days a week. For 1 week, and maybe 7 days.
Yeah.
I'm thinking before work.
Oh right, yeah.
And whether it's 10 minutes or an hour, do it and take out sugar, carbohydrates from your breakfast, and have a high-fat breakfast, say avocados and eggs, and cook it in coconut oil. See how much your brain can function in a better way when you just ignore that ridiculous cereal aisle that shouldn't be allowed in grocery stores.
Well, then you won't know if it's the yoga or not.
That's true. We need to do one in isolation. I guess I want everything to happen at once.
Well, here's the
Okay.
thing. I think the biggest thing is that it's not magic. It's not something that you do once or even for a week and you're going to be like, oh my God. But I don't think there's been one time where I went to yoga and I was like, shit, I should not have done that. That was such a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so I think like just going and committing to it for a certain amount of time. I know like there's a lot of studios like Hot 8. They have like the 30-day challenge where you try to go every day for 30 days.
Yeah, Hot 8's a different kind of yoga, isn't it? It's more like a boot camp in a very hot room.
It is, and like as much as and I think Keely asked a few minutes ago about my opinions of hot yoga. I think whatever gets you, it was a while ago.
Was it?
Our
So I've not
concentration
replied
got distracted.
Oh yeah, she said. We need to do more yoga.
I used to love hot yoga, and I used to do it. That was the first type of yoga I ever got into. I liked the intensity of it. And I think at that point I did it more as a workout, which is great. Like you get a lot of benefits while you're getting a really good workout. I think whatever gets you in the door, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
And I think like whatever you need at different times in your life is going to be what you need at different times in your life. I think heated yoga, it does relax your body a lot more. It relaxes your muscles a lot more, so you can get into deeper stretches. Sometimes I think it might be too deep of a stretch, personally, for maybe what your body's ready for. But again, I'm not an expert. It's just my experience. I think that sometimes the heat might be distraction from keeping proper form, and you might hurt yourself because A, you're a little bit too stretched out, and B, you're distracted from, you're so tired that you just lose the form. But then again, I still go to it. I love it, but that's just my opinion of it.
One thing I found with hot yoga, I've done these classes with Billy actually, who's on this, and our mutual friend. I find that sometimes it's almost like a boot camp in a hot room, and it's not really yoga because it's weights, hot room, high intensity, and what else? Something else. Anyway, you come out. It feels amazing. Loud music. It's really hardcore, and you come out after an hour, and I struggle to string a sentence together. I feel like my brain's just been zapped. But body-wise, you feel amazing. Mm-hmm. I do prefer vinyasa flow, like an hour-long class.
That's what I like.
Probably out of a hot room, in terms of the form for yoga. I feel that's better. Let's look at a few of these questions. So Susanna said, I'd like to know why, as we age, things start to hurt so much, even if they have been conditioned. Is yoga better?
Well, I think it's I mean, that's tricky. It's a hard question. You can write a whole essay on that one. I think it takes time injuries and things that are starting to get sore, it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that's been happening for years. It's your habits. So I think that, where am I going with this? Back to concentration. I think it's taking that step back and really, I think yoga, in addition to that, yoga makes you become more aware of those sorenesses before they reach that breaking point. I don't really know how to answer that one right now.
That's kind of answered it. It helps you become more in tune with your body, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you can't go wrong with yoga and with injuries. It's like one of the best ways to get rid of, or to repair injuries, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's not using weight, it's using body weight. And if there's anything that you can't do, I had a rotator cuff injury for quite a while, and there are certain things I couldn't do, so I just wouldn't do it. But it's fine now, and they can take a long time to heal.
Well, I'll say, going back to my injury, my lower back was in so much pain that just doing the dishes and driving in my car and sitting at my desk were painful to me. I would have to strap an ice pack to my lower back. I no longer have to do that. My body, my knees, my back, like all of it, like feels way better. I always thought, well, I'm supposed to be sore because I'm about to do an Ironman and I have to work out really hard, so of course I'm sore. But I wouldn't listen to my body. So I think, like, as a longevity, I think the main thing to me that my mind has shifted is that our working out, the way I view working out now as I did a few years ago is, how do I want to feel when I'm 60? Do I want to be doing these things when I'm older? Or do I want to have a really good time or lift a little bit heavier weights and maybe have a little bit better physical appearance now. So it's more, my mind shifted as to what's healthy for me today and tomorrow.
Yeah. And you'll be doing this when you're 90.
Hopefully.
When you're 100. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you will, doing yoga. Yeah. We kind of went on a little long, as we often do. Do you have any more suggestions?
I mean, not that I can think of right now.
Is there anything you have to offer?
I think that's it. I mean, I think the thing is like, as we were saying with diet, you know, everybody's body's different. Everybody's body needs different things. So finding out what works for you and just being super mindful of what you're doing and listening to your body is the best that you can do. So I think going back to your whole life challenge, how do you think you'll pull this into the rest of your challenge? Or is
making it a way more regular thing.
Right.
Because at the moment I mix it up between running and weights. And
you basically have to quit your job to be able to do everything.
Better quit my job then.
I'm just saying it's a full-time thing.
It is, but we can make time, can't we?
Right.
I used to have a corporate job before I was fired 7-8 years ago. But I would make time for exercise pretty much every morning.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to function if I didn't, but it's
what I would do at my job, which is kind of I would literally go to the bathroom and like this would be my time where I breathe in and out for like a minute. Just like taking a moment, if you don't have time, just taking a minute and focusing on your breath is a form of meditation. And so I think people get overwhelmed because you're like, I need to do like 20 minutes of meditation when I wake up, and I need to go to an hour and a half yoga when I go to like after work, and I need to do this and this and that. Like just take little steps. If you just have a minute to close your eyes and breathe in as deep as you can and breathe out, like that's awesome.
Just doing 10 minutes of yoga I found really, really powerful as well. Cool. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Do you want to offer your services to anyone as a yoga or Pilates instructor?
Yeah, of course.
If anyone's in Santa Monica or Los Angeles and he's an awesome instructor.
Janelle Stack.
Janelle Stack.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, everyone. And unless you've got any questions, thank you for your comments, Roy and Craig. Yeah, back injuries. Do yoga for back injuries. They're phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
It's all about evening out the body, and I realized my back injury was a lot of imbalance because I was a swimmer growing up, and my lower back I used for everything, and I never knew how to strengthen my core. And I always assumed because I was an athlete I was strong, but really I was just overusing some muscles, and so I had to take a huge step back and just strengthen my front side, because usually if you have back injuries, you probably have an imbalance in your core. So I would just work on strengthening that.
That's cool. That's really cool. Okay, thanks everyone. Tune in next time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janelle.
Oh, thanks.